Okay, let me show you this very simple budgeting spreadsheet of ours. It really is simple. If you look at the top corner here, it's in this block, it will show you the month in forecast that you are budgeting in, followed by the cash flow, and then the income section, your savings, and all the categories of budgeting is shown. In this part of the blocks here, the actuals that are there for the month that you're gonna track as you spend. This amount is gonna go down as you do your expenses. This part is gonna show a graphical representation of your budgeting in terms of income, savings, bills, and expenses. Compare the budgeted amounts versus the actual amounts that you spend as the month progresses. In this section, at this stage, it's still empty, but it's going to show you a pie chart, a distribution in terms of your budgeting, comparing the savings and bills, expenses, and your debt as budgeted. So I'm going to show you how the tool works. First and foremost, we'll start with the budgeting. If you see these blocks, they've got the budgets for the month. Before our money comes in, we do a budget. Let's say, for example, say on the salaries we're expecting. But before I show you the actual budgeting, obviously we are going to select the month that is in focus by this block here. If you select July, it will go July. If you go August, it's gonna go August up here. So for now, let's just focus on July, which is the month that you're focusing at. That will be followed by the currency, depending on what country you're in. You select the currency that you want displayed on the screen, from dollars, yen, British pounds, and South African rands. At this stage, I'm going to use the South African rands. Okay, so now let's start with the actual budgeting. So let's suppose for the month we're expecting to get around 25,000 rand as a salary. And then we start putting what we expect from our side hustle businesses. Maybe we're expecting 10,000 rand. Down here, you get a total of the anticipated amount that you expect to get. From that amount, then you start paying yourself or doing your expenses, paying yourself in a form of savings. You can say, maybe I'm going to save this amount for my card deposit that I'm going to do soon. Let's say maybe you decide also to save $500 for your retirement, for your vacation. Let's say you don't have enough at this point for your retirement. Bad thing, of course, but yeah, just for the purpose of illustration. Let's suppose on emergencies decide to save big every month. And if you are a DIY enthusiast, you might decide also to budget around that amount of money. So you're going to save about 4,100 for that month. Then you go on to your bills, you do your budgeting. Let's suppose you've got a mortgage. You say, okay, I'm going to budget that amount for the mortgage. Obviously, with the bills, you don't really budget. It's there for you. You already know how much that is going to be. But let's suppose there are cases where you still need to budget. You'll decide on your utilities. You say, okay, I'm expecting that I'm going to pay amount of money, 2,000 rand for that expenses. And you put for internet. And for the others, just going to populate. Let's suppose say 0. Subscriptions and lastly for insurance. I think this is how much it's going to cost me. Now you'll notice as we populate these amounts in the budget column, our pie chart here updates to give us an indication. So our budget, is it fairly balanced in terms of bills and expenses, savings, and the other debt that's going to show. I've done the budgeting. Here, let's do budgeting on expenses, which is 2,000 rand. For groceries, let's say we also budget 2,000 rands. I'm just gonna put the rest of the amounts, which I'm gonna illustrate how this tool works. You notice this pie chart keep on changing. And lastly, on our budgeting, we're going to do the debt that we're going to budget. Say, for credit cards, we're going to budget that amount. Nothing for personal loans and other loans. Car loans are supposed to be paying a car loan. We budget there. We can see there's our budgeting. We can already even see our chart here showing the amounts of budgets in gray. Roughly your income, the highest, your bills and expenses, so on and so on. There's no extras yet. We're still doing the budgeting. Now let's get to a point where now do the actual as the extras come in. Let's say your extra salary coming from the employer. You capture the amount that you get on that month. So you put, let's say we got the exact amount that we did budget for. And on the side hustles, maybe we don't do that well. Our actual income becomes 33,000 rand. Then I'm just going to populate the rest of the amounts. Let's say on savings, we put that amount as we planned. And we decide, you know what, just change our mind and actually put money in our retirement. We spend that money, put it on the retirement. On emergencies, we put amount as we planned. And we put a little bit extra on our DIYs because we love them so much. Go into, as you can see, as soon as you update the actual amount, the amount that is left to spend drops. I'm going to show you that exactly. If we put the actual amount of on your mortgage, you put a little bit extra, as always advised. You see the amount to spend drops. On the utilities, let's say we're fortunate you spend our utilities exactly the amount that we budget for. And for internet, as you know, we spend a little bit more than we anticipate. Gym, we spend nothing for the month, say 400. And bank, spend that amount. Now, as you can see, this tool is very important and very useful. I'm going to give you a visual representation of what happens to the amounts of money that you spend in a month. Going into expenses. On this column here shows the amount of money that you spend that is left. Let's suppose for the fuel. In fact, what's going to happen with the fuel, we're going to maybe fill up every week. This is going to increase in amounts. Let's say maybe it's going to go, let's say 500. Next time you fill up with 500, you see, okay, now it means now it's now 1,000. Or you can put a formula, whichever works for you, and it shows you how much is left in your budget. For groceries, yes, suppose you spend extra as you always do. As soon as on your expenses you spend more than that you planned, it shows a red to show that you're overspending. I'll show you the same others. Then lastly, on child school fees, the expensive child school fees that we all know about. Now lastly, to our actuals on the debt side. So you can see how the tool works. At the end of the day, it gives you an indication that for the month you are left to spend with 7,600. As your expenses and as expenses go up, populate, this amount goes down. In this chart, you're able to see how far am I from my budgeted amount visually. Your budget says is the gray one. Your budget is gray one, and red is going to be your actuals. So that is how the tool works.